Hello and welcome to part 3 of the RazorwireReviews Bat-a-thon. And today, of course, we're going to be looking at Batman Forever. So this was released in 1995, 3 years after the last installment, Batman Returns. Now, the studio obviously wants to make another Batman film. I mean, as critically kind of dividing as Batman Returns was, it still made a lot of money. It made a shitload of money. We're not just doing this for the money, we're doing it for a shitload of money. And of course they want to make another film, Warner Brothers, they want to keep the Batman ball rolling. So they want to go for another film. There's actually a funny story in the Batman Returns Blu-ray where Tim Burton says he actually sat down for a meeting at Warner Brothers. He's like, right, so here's what we can do with the new Batman film and everything. They're like, Tim, don't you want to do like a smaller movie now? Maybe we'll do another Batman film. And so Tim Burton was like, you guys don't want me to make another Batman film, do you? And there was like creative differences and things. I think at one point he was going to and then he wasn't. Michael Keaton was on board to reprise his role in Batman Forever, but only if Tim Burton was involved. Once Tim Burton was out of the director's spot, Michael Keaton wasn't interested and decided not to do the film. That's how I understand it. I mean, it could be different and who really knows what goes on behind closed doors. That's basically, you know, all you're going to get in terms of information of why Michael Keaton didn't return as Batman and why Tim Burton didn't return as the director. Which is a shame, because I think Tim Burton really could have taken a third Batman film into a great area. I think Tim Burton could have done, you know, Batman Forever almost as it was, but with his style. He could have made it lighter and he could have made it more, you know, visually pleasing and less harsh and stuff. Because Tim Burton's really good at that kind of movie as well. And again, Michael Keaton just would have been perfect because he's just Batman, you know. But obviously it didn't happen, unfortunately. So they went ahead and they cast Val Kilmer in the role. Which again is one of those things where it's like, really, Val Kilmer? But you know, the same thing with Michael Keaton. People weren't really convinced that Michael Keaton was going to be a good Batman. So my thoughts on Val Kilmer in Batman Forever as Batman. Oh, he's dividing as far as I'm concerned. There's certain scenes where I think he's great. I think he's a great Bruce Wayne, a great Batman. There's other times where I think he's not so good. It bounces around for me. At times I think, you know, that he does a good job and stuff, and I like Val Kilmer as an actor, but at the same time, certain scenes I don't buy it. You know, there's a scene where he goes to see the love interest of the film, played by Nicole Kidman, and you know, she kind of lets him know that she, you know, has got the hots for him and stuff, gives him a kiss, and he turns around and he turns around to leave her apartment and he's just like this. He just goes in the bat mask and just goes like it was horrible seeing Batman pull a stupid grin in a bat mask. That's more, I think, the director's fault or the producer's fault that happened, but I was really not my cup of tea, you know. Tim Burton also, by the way, stayed on as a producer of this film, and it opened saying a Tim Burton production, so that was cool that he at least had some kind of input, and I think that did actually show a little bit. So the tone was a lot different. The studio wanted it a lighter tone because it was so critically dividing with Batman Returns and just the darkness of it and stuff. So they wanted to bring the lightness up and tone the darkness down, and so we had two main villains in Two-Face, Harvey Dent, played by Tommy Lee Jones, and the Riddler, Edward Nygma, played by Jim Carrey. Of course it was going to be Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, at 1995, was the biggest, well, not the, I don't know if you say the biggest actor in the world, but the biggest comic actor in the world by far. I mean, this is 1995, he'd just come off probably one of the biggest years that anyone will ever have as a comedian, as a comic actor. 1994, Jim Carrey was in Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and The Mask. Just three, you know, classic 90s comedy films he made in, or were released in 1 year. Jim Carrey was hot as shit, and they obviously were going to have him in the film as the Riddler. It was a perfect choice. Jim Carrey in the film, he can be really over the top, but Jim Carrey's the perfect over actor, and I really like him as the Riddler. At times it's a bit too much, a bit too campy. Like there's a bit where he's like just kicking up at the air and just like because him and Two-Face join forces throughout the film, and you know, him and Two-Face like grabbing each other and just pulling each other together and going, oh yeah, and they're like giggling like little girls, and it's just like, it's really gay, you know. And there's you can't deny there's definite sort of gay undertones throughout this film. The director, Joel Schumacher, is gay, and that's not a bad thing, you know. It's not a bad thing to say that you can definitely tell the influence. And of course there are nipples on the Batsuit. That was a new addition, which a lot of people hated, you know. Me personally, it doesn't really bother me throughout the film, apart from the shot, of course, when they're kind of suiting up and you just see like a quick, you know, crash shot of the you know, the nipples on the bat suit and then the ass and stuff, and it gets a bit gay, but you know, I don't like to say that it gets a bit gay, but that's the only way I can describe it. So yeah, Joel Schumacher, I think, did a good job. I mean, I like Joel Schumacher. I like his films. Number 23 is a film I really like, even though it's like a recent film that he made. The Lost Boys, awesome. He hasn't made a lot of great films, but you know, I really like this, and I thought his direction was good. His direction was kind of crazy and madcap. That kind of fit the tone of the film, because you know, the main driving force of the film are the antics of Two-Face and the Riddler, who are two crazy characters. So Two-Face we're introduced to at the beginning of the film, and you just go straight into it, and he's Two-Face, and he's mad, and his face has been melted on one side, and he's just a nutter. And you kind of think like Tommy Lee Jones is trying to be like Jack Nicholson in Batman. He's really given it a lot, you know, and almost again, like Jim Carrey, maybe a bit too much. I think sometimes less is more, but at the same time I do kind of enjoy him. So again, it's just what the whole Batman Forever, I think, I'm on the fence and I'm jumping off and then on again, and it's that kind of thing. When I was a kid, I loved it, of course, but looking at it now critically and looking at it now when I'm an adult, it's different. So that's interesting. We don't see any kind of backstory for Harvey Dent. I'll get to that later on the Blu-ray review. But Jim Carrey, we see his Edward Nygma character transform into the Riddler. He works at this science lab, and he wants this funding from Bruce Wayne, and he, you know, is trying to shy him away or whatever, and he just basically goes nuts and kills his boss, Jim Carrey. And he's got this thing that he attaches to his head, and he can kind of gain knowledge from other people, and he basically turns that into like a brainwashing device, which he then uses on the public through their television set by like a little machine they put on their TV, and it just kind of brainwashes them and just gives him all this knowledge, and that's his master plan of the film. And it's kind of like I don't know, kind of like a trendy topic, you know, like TV making people, you know, be drones and stuff. Tiny bit of satire there, I guess, which is interesting. But I like Jim Carrey in this film a lot. I love the riddles. I love the riddles that he sends Batman, just because I like stuff like that. I like mysteries and whatever, and riddles and clues. And then of course we have Nicole Kidman, who's the love interest of the film. I forget what her character name even is, and it's not on the back here because there's no there's no summary. I forget, Chase something maybe, something Meridian. That's going to really bug me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually look on the Blu-ray now. Well, I got it in one, Chase Meridian, Dr. Chase Meridian, there we go. I thought I was going nuts, and I was like, Chase Meridian? There you go. Yeah, and she's kind of like a psychiatrist and stuff, and she gets a little deep with, you know, Bruce's kind of, the thing with the bats and stuff, and that's explored more in this film. His relationship with, you know, bats, you know, we didn't really see that in the first two films, but I thought it was an interesting way to go. Alfred also returns, Michael Gough returns as Alfred, which I really like. There's like, feels like he's the link that kind of holds these films together, although by Batman and Robin it's kind of like, don't hold it together, please. Pat Hingle also returns as Commissioner Gordon, but I feel like the role of Commissioner Gordon in all these four modern era Batman films is not really as developed as it should have been. Commissioner Gordon was a big character in the comic books, I believe, and in the Nolan trilogy he's a very big part. He's kind of a throwaway character in these ones. Anyway, overall, I like the tone, you know, I like that it's lighter and it's more comic booky at times, but again it goes a bit too far, like, you know, towards the end when Batman, you know, defeats the villains and stuff, it's kind of, well, that was a bit, you know, but then again, you know, it is sort of true to the comic book kind of style. It almost harks back to the Batman TV show of the 60s, you know, a little tiny, you know, increment towards that, but I don't know, it's a weird film. I like it. I'd probably give it, you know, I don't want to rate these films in this series, but I'd probably give it somewhere around like a 7, I guess, a 7 out of 10, or maybe like a 3.5 stars out of 5. It's okay, you know, it's pretty decent. At times it's really inspired. There's some great, you know, I love the whole Two-Face thing where he flips the coin and just decides on the flip of the coin, and you get like a slow motion shot of the coin, and like this, one side of it has been scratched out and stuff. There's some cool stuff in there, some cool ideas, some cool moments and stuff, but then again, sometimes, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it at the times, you know, and that's why it's not one that sticks out, but it is infinitely better than Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, oh my god. I actually realised while I was doing this review that I actually completely missed out Robin. Robin is introduced in these films. I think maybe they thought, right, okay, we got Val Kilmer in, and you know, people are not going to be too happy with that. Let's get Robin in. I'm sure that's not the reason, but so they got in Chris O'Donnell to play Robin. They introduced Robin into these films, which I'm sure everyone was excited to see. I like the Robin story. I like that you get to see his family, the Graysons, and how they were like a circus act, and they've all been killed and stuff, and how Two-Face is kind of linked in that, and you know, it was cool. I like that. I like Robin in this film. I like how he's a bit of a dick, you know. Although again, you know, just like when he walks in and he's like, you know, I want to be, you know, it feels like, you know, maybe too much of a dick. Like just like, oh, get this brat off the screen. Let's see Batman. You know, it's a dividing film. As you can see, this is such a rambling review, but I don't know. You know, overall, I mean, again, Nicole Kidman didn't even comment. She's okay, you know, but it's kind of like, well, Nicole Kidman, she's another big actress of the time, but she doesn't get anywhere near, you know, the depth that we get out of like Michelle Pfeiffer and Kim Basinger. More so Michelle Pfeiffer because she had more of a developed character, but Nicole Kidman was just a psychiatrist really, and a pretty face. So yeah, Batman Forever, pretty good, but I feel like my review reflects the film. You know, it can get a bit, you know. So the Blu-ray itself, again, the film looks great. You know, all these films look great. Nothing fantastic, nothing reference quality, but you know, for a fan of these films, it's great to see them in HD. So the Blu-ray itself features a commentary by director Joel Schumacher, which is interesting. I like the way his mind works. You know, he really knows what he wants and stuff. Comes across in his commentaries and his interviews on DVDs and stuff. Enjoyable commentary. Nothing to kind of, you know, write home about, but at the same time, if you're a fan of the film or just a fan of Batman, you know, maybe you just want to know a little bit about Batman Forever? No? Okay, skip it. You have additional scenes. This is a new one. I guess Tim Burton doesn't like to have, you know, deleted scenes on the Blu-ray or DVD releases, but Joel Schumacher did. These deleted scenes are about, I think it's about 13 minutes worth of them. There's a few scenes. There's one actually that also kind of sets up Two-Face's character, and you see him escape from Arkham Asylum. But there's no music in these scenes, so it's kind of like an unfinished thing. But of course, back in these days, there was no real computer effects. I mean, I know these days you watch a Blu-ray and it's like, this deleted scene is not finished. It's just like green and blue everywhere. But this, you know, you actually see all the production elements, but no music. So it still feels a bit weird. It feels like you're watching dailies from the film, which is kind of interesting at the same time. Like there's a scene where Two-Face is in this helicopter and Batman's on the side of the helicopter, and it's just like, you know, nothing but the sound effects of what they're acting out. So it's kind of weird. And there's also a really interesting deleted scene at the end where Bruce Wayne is in the Batcave. And the great shot, I like the shot of the film where there's like a bat flying towards him. It's really creepy. But in the deleted scene, the bat just comes up to him and it's like as big as him. And there's like a big circling shot and he's just like that, with his arms out, and the bat's just there like that. It's kind of really cool, but at the same time it doesn't work because you can just see that it's just a big fluffy bat. You know, you can see how fake it is. I guess that's why they didn't use it. It was a cool idea though. It was a cool idea. Then we have Riddle Me This, Why is Batman Forever? And this is, just like we have with Batman Returns Blu-ray, we have a documentary from the time that the film was released. I like that, and it's hosted by Chris O'Donnell, who plays Robin. No, it's some interesting views from the director and the actors and stuff, and again, it's more of like a hype machine for the film, but interesting to have. I love that they include it on the Blu-ray. Again, we have Shadows of the Bat, the cinematic saga of the Dark Knight continued, part 5 this time, Reinventing a Hero. This is about a half-hour documentary. Oh, I feel like I'm really getting out of breath. It's a half-hour documentary, and it's interesting, you know, and they kind of, you know, they're kind of quite honest about the film, but at the same time, you know, I think they really thought that it was something really special, and I don't know, I don't think it is as special as the first two, but it's interesting, and it goes into how the film well, didn't break records, but did very well at the box office and stuff. It takes you throughout the whole pre-production, production, post-production, reaction, all in half an hour. Bit squashed in, but interesting nonetheless. Then we have the Beyond Batman documentary gallery, as usual, just loads of featurettes. We got Out of the Shadows, the production design of Batman Forever, The Many Faces of Gotham City, Night Moves, the stunts of Batman Forever, Imagining Forever, the visual effects of Batman Forever, Scoring Forever, the music of Batman Forever. You know, there's, you know, interesting stuff. Danny Elfman didn't return for this film, which was a shame. In terms of the music, I didn't mention that. The music is good. We get like a new twist on the Batman theme, which I liked. I like the Batman theme in this film, but it didn't strike a nerve as much as the first two. And again, you know, it's cool to see all these featurettes and stuff and how they made it and all that. You know, I'm interested in that stuff, so if you are, you'll enjoy it too. Then we have a Seal music video, Kiss from a Rose. Oh, that song is not great, but it's pretty good. And then we have the heroes and villains profile galleries, which are just short minutes, short couple of minute videos on each character, which again are pretty cool. But I also feel, as with Batman Returns, that maybe they should just had like a longer documentary with all these pieces fitted in and kind of edited into like a seamless kind of documentary. And finally, the theatrical trailer, of course. So, Batman Forever. It's okay. I feel like I've said this too much, and I apologise for this video because I feel like it's rushed, and I also feel like, I don't know, I'm not sure. One thing I will say is that the end shot of the film, which is Batman and Robin just like running, you know, past the silhouette, I kind of like it. It's kind of bad and kind of like, oh, cheesy, but like it kind of just sums up the whole film. It's like, this is what this Batman is, you know, and it's almost like a, you know, again, like a hark back to the old Batman, and just, it's a different tone, you know, it's a completely different tone, but it kind of retains a little bit of like the art design and stuff. I love the art design in this film, although there's a shot where you kind of come into the science lab at the beginning of the film. There's this big waterfall, and I thought that was epic when I was a kid. Watching it on Blu-ray, holy shit, you could see how bad it's just like the genesis of computer animation as kind of like background sets and stuff. It's kind of like, it looks like a PlayStation 1 game. Not that bad, but you know, you can tell that it's in its early stages of CGI being the norm in special effects in films. So, Batman Forever. I feel like I've said that 100 times, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd say it's a good film. It's not as bad as people make out. I enjoy it and I'll watch it again. And, you know, it's a decent installment in the Batman saga, but it's not a patch on the first two films for me. And it just sets a trend that gets worse. Batman and Robin. So, thank you for watching. I hope you stayed with this. I know it was a long one, and I didn't really say anything of kind of, I wasn't coherent, let's put it that way. And I'll apologise for that, and I'll make it better for the next one. Actually, no, I won't. It's Batman and Robin. It's just going to be me ranting. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.